All right, so let's talk a little bit about spectrum analysis. So we're going to be looking at a couple different spectrum analysis tools in this class during troubleshooting. Now, unfortunately, there's only a few tools that you can use to do this with 802.11 Wi-Fi. One of which is the MetaGeek Wi-Spy DBX adapter. It's available at MetaGeek.com. It's a few $100. It's a great spectrum adapter. It's dual band. They've got a couple other programs it comes with. MetaGeek's a great company, by the way. I'm a big fan of MetaGeek and the people over there. They've been good to the wireless community. They've produced some really talented people that are out there, and some very cool tools to help enterprises solve issues. And for a long time, the MetaGeek Wi-Fi adapter was the one that was included with every survey tool out there, so that you could do layer one sweeps and identify anything rocking layer one, right? Normal WLAN adapters don't understand. They either see 8 to 11 or they look at it as noise. Well, this is the adapter, or one of the adapters, that you can use to dissect what that noise may be. All right. So if you look at it nowadays, go under Pro Tools, and they've got a few different toolkits. I think they've got a subscription nowadays that's pretty cool. But if we go to, let's just say, I think there's a product catalog down here at the bottom, maybe, but well, there we go. So you can see there's different packages, right? So they've got one MetaGeek Complete, and they've got a packet analysis tool we're going to look at. It's called IPA. That tell us what our packets and frames are doing, which is really cool. Get us some visuals of that. And honestly, this is pretty cheap tools to be honest. I think their top package, if you look over here, that's a new product for remote workers. There's MetaGeek Complete here. Let's see how much this is. $13.99. You're getting spectrum analysis with Channelizer. You're getting a frame analysis for with IPA, right? Figure out what's going on with those conversations. Um, so those are very powerful, cool tools, and they're very cost effective, right? And they partner with Tomograph now for site survey, but they used to be part of, like I said, the Ekahau site survey packages as the Spectrum adapter. And then whenever the Sidekick came out, of course, Ekahau started using that for Spectrum, and that's a pretty good Spectrum analysis tool as well for you Ekahau users. But this is a great company. They've got great products, and I'm a big fan of their insider out there. This is a very good WLAN analyzer tool as well. So just wanted to give them a shout out because, like I said, they've got great tools. They also um, have the Wi-Fi Spy, the Wi-Spy Air tool. So this can be connected. They ship it in this nice little case, and it can be connected to all your different mobile devices, and you can do WLAN test from this guy's vantage point, basically. So he's an adapter, and you can connect him to your iPhone, or Android phone, or tablet, walk around with him, and get what's going on with your channels and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very nifty little tool as well. And since we were just talking about that, let's see if we can get a product comparison here. So that Wi-Spy Air is $9.99. It is a hardware piece of device, and like I said, they've got it for spectrum analysis. So it's really one of the only tools you can get spectrum analysis on your phone. I think Ekahau's coming out with a mobile app as well to connect your Sidekick to it for Spectrum. I know they're doing it with Survey, but anyway, we're going to talk more about the troubleshooting aspect. But very good company, very good tools, very cost effective. But bottom line, we need to be able to see what's going on with layer one sometimes and figure out where sources of interference are coming from, right? So we know like a channel has a high noise floor, right? Or we know there's some type of interference going on, but we don't know exactly what. So spectrum analyzer, there's two things we look at with layer one. One is if we look at the frequency plane, okay, then we're going to be looking at basically our frequency plane, so the channel utilization. So if you look in these tools, guys, you'll see the channels at the bottom of the view. Okay, so right there's the ISM band, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 13, and then 14 is over here, right? And then the vertical plane is the energy, right? So that's your RSSI. So there's typically a couple different views with spectrum analyzers, classic spectrum analyzers, and there's all different shapes and sizes actually. There's a bunch of different spectrum analyzers on the market for different radios, different frequencies. But what we're doing is we're looking at that, like I said, the spectrum view. That's why it's called a spectrum analyzer. Now, there's another way to look at what goes on with layer 1, but that's actually looking at how the waves are emitted, right, from the antenna. It's looking at the oscillation, okay? So we really only use that to develop wireless devices to begin with, to basically calibrate and develop wireless transmitters or receivers, or basically chipsets and antennas and all that kind of stuff. So if you're working with the science of things and you want to develop an adapter or a chipset, then you would use an oscilloscope. If you want to just analyze what's going on with a frequency space at layer 1, you would use a spectrum analyzer. Okay, so what are we doing again? Well, we're wanting to figure out, let's say that our design requirement initially had requirements 25 dB separation between usable RSSI and the noise floor. Okay, so let's say we've got an RSSI of 60, for example, and a noise floor of 90. That's a 30 dB SNR. Well, what if we had a, what if we had a let's say 75 RSSI? It could go that way, or the noise floor could be higher. Either one, if I'm not getting what I'm supposed to be getting, there's a reason, okay? But especially if that noise floor is higher, or if there's something going on with that channel, with that frequency. So you might be going, hey, my channels actually have a good RSSI, or my clients are actually seeing a good RSSI, but the throughput is crap. What's going on, right? So to dissect that's what we want to, that's what we need a spectrum analysis for, is to dissect that layer 1 and figure out what is the culprit, what's going on. And there could be many things, okay? Every electrical device has some type of radiation that emits from it. Everything you plug into an outlet, every adapter, everything, a phone, you name it. All these devices around us have some type of electromagnetic signal coming off of it, period. Some of them are louder than others, okay? Some of them are benign, we've got a lot of, remember, Wi-Fi uses unlicensed frequencies, okay? The point of that is that they're frequencies that anybody could use, not just Wi-Fi, but for any of those reasons, for industrial, scientific, and medical reasons, or for the unlicensed national information infrastructure reasons, right? Which is basically anything you want to do up to a certain threshold and up to a specific frequency. Okay, so not all of these devices are designed to play well with Wi-Fi. Bluetooth, for example, uses the same frequency as Wi-Fi. It's not a big interference sources. There is some Bluetooth devices that are very big interference sources, but they're a lot less common. Okay, most of the Bluetooth devices are very low power. They're much more even low power than Wi-Fi. Very short range PAN type technologies. PAN, member personal area network. That's connectivity within my personal space, basically. But nowadays, we've got all this stuff being shipped out that has wireless capabilities, and all this supposed IoT stuff and cheap audio and everything from fluorescent lights, you name it, okay? And some of this, yes, does impact 802.11. You know what a big impact for 802.11 is a busy neighbor. If you have an AP that's next to your AP that's owned by another company and it's got a lot of use, that could take up all the utilization of that channel. Okay? So, and that's actually Wi-Fi, right? But with 2.4, there's tons of things that interfere. 5 gigahertz, there's a lot of things that interfere. Decked phones, for example. Okay? So, we're going to take a look at some of this stuff. And we're going to take a look at one of my go-to tools, which is MetaGeek Channelizer for this. Okay, so this isn't one of the official labs, but let's just take a look here. So this is MetaGeek Channelizer. I've got the DBX adapter, which I've showed you right here. Okay, this is basically listening for anything that is layer 1, but remember, I've got a coverage area right here, right? So if somebody reports an issue and they're in a different building, or they're on a different floor, or they're even 100 feet away from you, this isn't where I want to be to do the spectrum analysis, right? Because I need to be where they're at having the problem versus where I'm at, okay? So that's something you definitely want to consider, right? All right, so is where you're at doing these tests, okay? And that's why having, these portable devices now and having Wi-Fi Air is so cool because I can plug it into my phone and I can go where you're at and do some testing. So there's a, you know, guys, don't overlook this tool, right? It's a grand. If you're a pro WLAN engineer or you're working to become one, in the scheme of things, it's pennies. It's nothing, right? You'll never lose money investing in yourself. All right. So you're going to have some people out there going, just get, just get a so-and-so adapter and you can do spectrum analysis and take a look at this. This is a fast Fourier transform, right? So I can look at any of the energy and basically I've got a certain resolution that I can see over this. Now, it doesn't matter how fast a resolution my spectrum adapter has, because what they do is they put in these waterfalls, okay? And the waterfall measures the energy over time. So I can start seeing, hey, is this a normal looking, environment here where I've got 3 clean channels? Or is it very dirty where I've got a lot of, interference? So if I turn on all the WLANs I'm seeing right now, you notice there's a lot of overlap, right? There's a lot of guys that are communicating on a lot of channels here, okay? And you can also see the details from some of the details from our APs. So remember, this guy doesn't understand 802.11 actually, okay? He's layer 1 only. So how do I get SSID and how do I get, security mechanisms and data rates and PHY support? Well, if I look up here under Wi-Fi, I can see that I've got my internal AX200 chip that is basically marrying the data. So the channelizer is smart enough to show you the spectrum data and then show you the devices using 802.11 overlay it, right? So up here is my main spectrum view, okay? That is the main area where I am seeing the energy as it's happening on 2.4 gigahertz. Now I'm only seeing 2.4 gigahertz here, and I can see that from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. But I do see a distinct waterfall pattern here of 3 channels, okay? This is a waterfall over here. It's just a longer time lapse of this. This is just a shorter time lapse of that. And then what you're looking for is you're looking for potential interference, right? So these are interference sources. And if this guy was seeing this stuff, let me go ahead and play this again. You know what? Let me jump over here real quick to 5 gigahertz real quick. And I think we can actually get dual band out of the DBX at the same time, which is pretty nice. Didn't used to be able to do that. Oh, you know what? You need the 2.4 and the 5 plugged in. It's all right. You can switch it here, right? So you can switch. You can go, hey, I want to see 5, and then I want to see 2.4. So that's a very nice feature, by the way. So good job, MetaGeek, on bringing that in, because it used to be kind of one or the other. Now, if we come down here to our networks table and we turn on all the networks we're seeing, you can kind of see what's going on out there. But we're not seeing a lot of activity right now, right? There's not a lot of utilization going on. I'm at home. I live a pretty good distance away from a lot of people. So that's you're not going to be seeing a lot. Now, if we change this tune a little bit, so let me just join a WLAN on my computer. And to do this right, what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to go over here, change my adapter. And what we're going to do is we're going to disable the wired interface for now. So I'm basically on Wi-Fi. So now I'm going to be transmitting a lot of data through wireless. And you can see right there, hey, I am on this network, right? So now look at the utilization. I'm starting to see some transmission. And if you want to verify that that is you, which anytime we're doing a spectrum analysis, we want to make sure that we're listening on the right channel, right? Or we're looking at the right part of the spectrum. So if we do net show WLAN show interface with Windows 10, we can see, hey, we're on channel 48. Okay, 173 meg data rate is what we're looking at, 91% signal, which is somewhat useless right there, but it's telling me that things are decent. I'm on channel 48. Well, look right here. You see how that start basically whenever I connected right there, right? Before that, there wasn't a lot going on. And nowadays with Wi-Fi 6, you can see there's little small gaps in there, but let's take a better look at that. So what we can do is change the Wi-Fi. We know we're on the lower bands. So we're just going to go down here to say, let's just look at the 36 through the 64. And this is going to focus us in a little bit more, right? We can get a little bit more focused in our view here. And you notice it's keeping captures over here. So I'm going to save those. Some of the troubleshooting we're going to be looking at here in a minute, we're going to be looking through data that's been collected to find answers, right? So that's the other thing with these tools. Let's say I buy a laptop or a tablet just for the purpose of doing layer 1 sweeps. Well, whoever can use it, go out and use it, and then collect the data and look at it. Now you need proper licensing for that, but that's basically, you can look at the data later, right? Through recordings, which is really nice. So you can see I've got a few things going on. So am I interfering with myself here on this channel? It looks like we've got a couple APs that have a couple things going on. So let's filter down a little bit more here, right? So we're looking at logical view. If you look at physical view, that's physical layer. But if we look at logical layer, this is what's going on. So remember, my APs might have multiple SSIDs we're looking at. So we're on blue Wi-Fi. Okay, let's uncheck this and focus in. So we can see blue Wi-Fi is available on 44 and 48 right now, and it's somewhat dense. You know what? I'm just going to leave all these on because it's still not that busy right now. We've got a pretty big WT data 5 there going on too, with some channel bonding. Haven't really fixed that yet, so we're going to have to look at that in a minute. You can see, hey, yeah, we're using 100 through 104, pretty wide channel there, right? That's an 80 megahertz wide channel. All right, so back to what we're looking for here. First of all, let me just give you an example of utilization. So let's go open a site to one of go-to sites here. Let's go to YouTube. Let's look at Razika and I have been putting up a lot of content from our courses onto YouTube. So you guys may, who knows, I might post this video there. But let's just go to my buddy's course here, and I'm going to open this up on the page, and let's make sure we're getting a good experience here. And then we're going to go to settings, and we want to make sure, see, it was automatically setting it to 720. We want to make sure it's 1080. Okay, so we're going to use it. And then, you know what? Let me go ahead and mute that. But maybe I like the Rolling Stones. All right, so I'm going to open up YouTube again, and we're going to go to you're going to look at some stuff in 4K here. So let's see. Can't always get what you want. Who doesn't love that song, right? We're going to change this quality. See, it's trying to zoom us down, right? You see it's HD, but it's not 4K. So once we go to 4K, though, you see the buffering, right? So my point with this, why am I doing all this, right? I'm trying to show you how spectrum analysis and how Wi-Fi data transmissions actually work. Once the network gets busy, you see there's a lot more energy that's being detected. There's a lot more utilization of the spectrum, okay? So if you notice, we now have this glow here that's going on. So we're looking at the density view, right? You can see right now, this is why the resolution is not important with spectrum analysis. It's important. It's nice to see, stuff blazingly fast. It happens so fast you really can't see. There's no way we could sit there and watch the modulation happen, right, in real time. So we got to look at that density view. But bottom line is that's what it looks like whenever a channel starts getting utilized in an area. Okay. Now, that was just an example to show you utilization. Now, with that said, what if there was something that was interfering with this? That's what we're really looking at this for, right? I don't really care to look at this for the heck of it. I want to be able to find issues with this. Well, if I found something else that was impacting that channel, that would be a problem. So let me go over here. We're gonna look at, we're gonna do our full 2.4 gigahertz again. All right, so let me go ahead and we're gonna make a change here to our adapter. So we're gonna go to properties, and this is just to demonstrate this capability. So what we're gonna do is, you see it's set right now to wireless mode dual band. For now, I'm gonna set this to 2.4, and we're just gonna do BG. Okay, so 2.4, and we're gonna support BG. So what's gonna happen is my computer is now gonna tell my WLAN adapter, don't go to 5 gigahertz. And that's not something you'd ever really want to do, but I'm going to show you just as an example here, right? Just so you can create a chaotic environment for yourself, right? We want some utilization here. So and you see there's already more than what there was on 5 gigahertz, just because 2.4 is convoluted with things, right? But you see some peaks there, some peaks there. There's some things going on here before we really even start talking 2.4. So let me get associated now, but this time we're going to look at the 2.4 utilization. Okay, so now I'm connected, and you can already see, hey, I'm probably connected on channel 1. Haven't verified that, but given that we see blue Wi-Fi up there as one of the SSIDs, and we see a lot more utilization already, that's probably channel 1, right? So I think I've still got the up. You can see we're buffering back here, right? So let me go ahead and play it again. See if we can get that. We got this guy going. Yeah, but we're buffering, okay? Because that's a lot of data to be putting on a channel. And this channel doesn't, it's got interference going on. You see those peaks right there, right? So what is that going on? Okay, so back over here under interferers, this is a list of known interference sources for 2.4. Okay, if it says out of band, look at the ones that say out of band. That's 802.11a. That's an OFDM waveform. If we look at AC, that's a bonded OFDM waveform. You got that Bart Simpson haircut with the little dip in the middle. That's OFDM, right? You do double that, and that's channel bonding. But then we've got all this other stuff, right? We've got 802.11b, it's going to look like that dome top. Well, I don't really see that dome top here, which is good. Some clients have that dome top if they're using 802.11b. We're going to look at that in a minute. But we've got, definitely have some GN going on, right? And AC and all that stuff, because we're using OFDM. But here's some interference sources. This is what we don't want to see. We don't want to see spikes like this. That's from an AV transmitter that's could cause interference. There is a lot of Bluetooth going on, as you can see in the background. Those tiny little lines back there, all that stuff is Bluetooth. And like I said, it's typically not a big interference source, but it can be. Then we've got cordless phones, Logitech handsets, Nortec, and these are just different forms, these different waveforms from different interference sources. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little bit of our own interference here. And let's see what happens. Of course, I might not have my devices charged and no batteries. What do you know? So I'll have to get some batteries and come back and show you this. Hang on one sec. All right, so I got my batteries here, my mystery device. Go ahead and turn that on, and we'll see if we see anything come up that's different. Oh, we're seeing something that's different, right? What are we seeing that's different? Let me turn down here, come back over to my networks channel, and let's let me uncheck that. Now, I'm seeing something that's different here. Oh, wait, what just happened there? Well, I see these, right? I wasn't really seeing that before. And if I take off this density view, I can see there's a lot of transmission going on there. And now we're getting a lot throughout the guy, right? It's sweeping kind of thing. So it's actually impacting these channels, and then it's, it's moving every now and then, right? So what's going on with that? And look over here at our density view, right? This is starting to really mess up the Wi-Fi on 2.4. So what is it? Well, that's whenever we use our tool here, we go back to our interference sources and we start looking at the signature to see if we can match it up. Okay. So if you look at that pyramid shaped structure we're getting there in the back. And if we look at what that could be, there is, Zigbee, is video camera, wireless audio, video transmitter, United phone, soundbar, RFID reader, Logitech headset, IR sensor, cordless phone, AV transmitter. Okay, so if we take off this networks table, if we take all this off, and we just take a look at what's what, let's go back to our interferers and go, let's see if this matches. Does that match that? There it is right there for a second. Does that match that? It's kind of does, right? So that's how you figure out if it's that type of technology, right? If we come over here to this guy, let's see if this matches. That doesn't really match. Okay. If we look at that, that's not really a close match. It doesn't have those other peaks. If you look at that, it really kind of matches that more than anything, right? Maybe. So it's either something like that or there. And in that case, that's an AV transmitter, okay, for wireless audio and video. And then if you look at the video transmitter, for example, that's what video transmitters look like. But bottom line is, look at this messy Wi-Fi. We went from this great waterfall experience. I don't want to say great, it's 2.4. But we went from a usable waterfall experience to now we've got really messed up Wi-Fi. And you know what? Our videos are not going to be happy with it. So let's say we replay these and we replay this guy. You can see we are not too happy with this. Let's make sure it's set still. Now, I'm not doing myself the biggest favor at the moment. YouTube has a lot of mechanisms to buffer and to do adaptable codecs. Now, I've hard set it for this example, but I can promise you over time, I'm not going to get the best experience with this because now I've got this interference source here. So what was the interference source? Well, it was my Pro Audio setup. So whenever I teach classes, large classes, and I want to record them, I've got this wireless, this is one of my wireless handsets. You put this on right under your shirt, and then now I've recorded my class. And that was the guy doing all the damage back there. I would have never known that unless I had something to analyze layer 1 and match up signatures, for example. And then I figure out where that guy's at. So once I've got the signature, there's another tool you can use with MetaGeek to basically trace that signature, and it gives you a beep, kind of like a Geiger counter. So it'll go beep, 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 beep. And then whenever you found it, you know that's what it was that was causing the interference. Truly a great tool. And we use it for a lot of different scenarios to make sure that we're avoiding interference at layer 1. All right, we need to get rid of those devices, change them out. Could be a microwave, could be a bunch of different devices that are causing interference, but you won't know which is which unless you have something to identify those sources of interference at layer 1. You got to be able to look at the spectrum. Okay, pretty long video, so we're going to jump to the next. See you in a minute.